Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel Appium Guide. As a part of our Appium parallel testing series, in this video we are going to discuss about how to configure Grid4 with Appium. Okay, so before that one, already we have covered these two topics in our previous videos. That is the parallel testing with separate Appium instances for separate devices and parallel testing using single Appium instance with different system ports. Already covered it here. Oh, here we'll cover about Appium, that is Selenium Grid4 with Appium here. So I have divided this series in three different parts. Okay. In the first part, that is in this video, we are going to discuss how to configure Selenium Grid4 with Appium. Okay. So we have five topics in this part one. First, to download the Selenium Grid4 and we briefly see how exactly Appium works with Selenium Grid. Okay, and then we switch to the Appium with Grid4. Okay, how exactly the Appium works with the Grid4. Okay, and then we understand the Appium grid architecture, that is a Selenium grid architecture with Appium. So, how to register the Appium with Grid4 and configure the Grid4 for Appium step by step. I will explain the file, how to create. Then we go for demo. Okay, this is the part one topics we are going to cover in this video. Okay, first of all, we download the Selenium Grid 4. Okay, so open it, your favorite any browser and just type download Selenium Grid. Let's say Selenium Grid. So we are talking about Selenium Grid 4. Okay, just type the download Selenium Grid. That's it. Click on that one. So it has displayed the result here. So here it has shown www.selenium.dev downloads. Click on this link. Okay. So it has opened the selenium.dev/downloads. Under this downloads, just scroll down. We have the Selenium server grid. Okay. So it says latest stable version is 4.3.0. Click on this link. So automatically once you click on the download will start. So once the download is done, open this and okay, just download in the downloads. Copy this one, the jar file, and we are using our folder here. So I have created a folder under this parallel testing. So here we paste it here. Okay. Yes. So our Selenium server grid is downloaded. The jar file is downloaded, which is in the jar file here. So it is done. The second one is the Appium with Selenium Grid 3. So how exactly the Appium used to work with the Selenium Grid 3? Okay, we briefly explain about what difference is there with the Selenium Grid 3 and Grid 4. Okay, see, when you are working with Appium with Selenium Grid, okay, the node registration, everything is done by the HTTP calls, and Appium with Selenium Grid 3 is very simple. Within 5 to 10 minutes, we used to configure the hub and node. Okay. Okay. So how we used to configure? We used to configure the hub by using this particular command, that is jar, the java-jar and the path of the jar file and hub. So we used to start the separately. We used to start the hub. First, we had to start the hub and then we used to configure the nodes. Okay, so this is a command we used to use: appium space the double hyphen port number and double hyphen node config, and then we used to provide the path of the JSON. Okay, so this is example I have shown. The we have opening the two nodes 4725 and 472 the follow nodes. So this is the way used to configure for the Git 3 for Appium. Okay, but in Appium with Grid 4, this is different. Okay, this is not straightforward as with the Grid 3. Okay, why they have made changes for Grid 4 to increase the scalability. Okay, so we discuss about the Grid 4 architecture with respect to Appium. Okay, see, in Grid 3, the node registration used to happen with the HTTP calls, but in Grid 4, the node registration done through the event bus. Okay, this is due to the increase the scalability. Okay, and this is the architecture how it look like. Okay, if you go respective with the Appium server, okay, this is the architecture how exactly the Appium works with the Grid 4. Okay, so we are using the standalone grid or node with the relay configuration. Okay, here in Grid 3 we do not have a concept called relay node. Okay, relay node configuration is not there. Okay, in Grid 4 we have got this concept called Grid 4 relay node. Relay node, we got it in the Grid 4. So how exactly this architecture works? Okay, when we start the hub, okay, we are automatically starting with the relay node configuration. Okay, and before that one, we need to start the Appium server. So we need to start the Appium server, then we need to start the hub with the relay node. Okay, and the configuration to the node. So these two we are starting at the same time with the hub. So there is no separate concept like starting a hub and then going to the starting once again with the node. Automatically we are using standalone. Okay, automatically starting the hub with relay node with the node. Okay, this node, okay, this relay node used to communicate with the Appium server. So whatever the commands we are passing goes to the relay node. Okay, from the hub, go to relay node. From relay node, it go to the Appium server. The request goes to here, and the response will come from the Appium server to the relay node. From relay node, it go to the hub. From there, it go to the hub node, where you can see the uh, logs. Okay, so this is how the Appium works with the Grid 4. Okay, so we have new concept called relay node. Okay, so communication will happen to the Appium server with the hub through the relay node. Okay, this is the way how Appium works with the Grid 4. Okay, now we'll see how to configure. See, this is a registration. So this is registration for Appium with Grid 4. That is a hub. Okay, with both relay node and node here. Okay, so directly we are registering node and hub and node simultaneously. Okay, and we'll see how to configure this hub with relay node and node. Okay, so this is the sample how to configure the node and hub for Grid 4. Okay, this is the sample, and we are using the file which is in the format of TOML. Okay, that is the Tom's obvious machine language, minimal language. Okay, that is the full form of TOML. That is the Tom's obvious minimal language. So we are configuring our configuration we are doing under the .toml file, not in the JSON. Okay, so here we have 4 main parts under the configuration file. Okay, the first one is server, node, relay, and config. See, have you seen architecture? We have seen the this is the server. This is a hub. Okay, hub, relay nodes, node. Okay, and here we have the server, node, relay, node. Okay, so we discuss about what exactly these 4 parts in our configuration node. Okay, so I already have break down this one. So the first one is the server. Okay, so if you see this one, we are the server. Okay, so here I am putting the port here. So go back here. So server. What's the purpose of this one? So the purpose of this file is this file configures a Selenium grid node that relays request relays request to a Appium server running locally on the port 4723. So we are starting the Appium server separately, right? So it get the request and response from the local Appium server. So this is the architecture we are seeing here. Okay, this is the one. This part is talking about. Okay, go back to our document here. The first section I told, right, we have 4 sections here. The first is the server. Configures the node own port, not the Appium. That's why we are using the port. See, we are using the port has 4444 here. Okay, this is related to the Appium the configuration node own port it is. Okay, not from the Appium. Okay, server configures the node own port, and next section is the node prevents the auto detecting local browser service. That's why you're using false there. Okay, and next relay. Okay, forwards the Selenium grid request to the Appium server. Okay, and next one is the configs. Define the kind of session this node can run. Okay, here we define the number of sessions here. Okay, so this is the 4 main parts under we node config tom file we have, toml file we have. Okay, we go by each and every section here. The first section is the server section. So here we are using the argument called port. Okay, and we are using 4444. So what exactly mean by the port is equal 4444 sets the port where the Selenium node itself will run, not the grid hub. This is typically used if the node acts as a standalone or for the internal communication. If we are using with the grid hub, usually on the port 4444 is okay fine. Okay, so we are setting up the port for the hub, that is a 4444 here. Okay, that is a Selenium node. And next is the node section here. So I had told node detect hyphen drivers is false. What exactly means by? Tells the Selenium not to auto detect any browser drivers like Chrome driver and Gecko driver. Why it is? Because this is important when you are using a traditional, not when you are not using the traditional browser directly, but instead of relying to the Appium, which means the devices. Because we are executing the parallel testing in our devices. So if I set detect hyphen driver false, it will not auto detect any browser drivers. But in case of Selenium, we should make this argument as true. Okay. So this is the important section under the nodes. And we have the relay section. Okay. That is a relay node. Okay. Here we have usually URL. Okay. This is the URL of the Appium local host. Okay, and we had to use WD hub also because it's hub. Okay, and now status endpoint, we are doing the status here, and URL. See, this is the Appium server endpoint to which the request will forward. Okay, so we are forwarding the request, right? See, if you see this architecture, so we are forwarding the request to the Appium server. So it is talking about that one. So URL we need to provide. Yeah. Okay, here is the Appium learning. Here the Appium is running locally on the port 4723. That is the meaning of this line. Okay, and status endpoint part to check the node status standard for Appium. Okay, and next fourth part is the configs array. Okay, here we are using the config array in this way. Okay, so I'll explain each and every part here. So this defines the capabilities of the Appium node supports. Okay, we are using two capabilities here. That is the CPC 1. What is exam means 1? 1 indicates the maximum number of concurrent sessions for that capability. Okay, so it create one session for each. See, here we have two here. Okay, so here it creates one session for this capability, and here it creates a one session for this capability here. Okay, so here we are using this one. So and these capabilities we are providing in a JSON format. Okay, so you can see the browser name Chrome and platform name Android and the platform version 12. So suppose I want to run for the iOS, so I had to use Safari. and platform iOS. Okay, so it mean by indicates the maximum number of concurrencies for each capability. So here we have two capabilities here, one for Android, one for iOS. Means I am running the parallel testing on Android and iOS. Suppose I want to run on both Android, I have to change the platform names here. Okay, so we have two sessions here. So we have two sessions here with the different capabilities here. Okay, and it says this node can handle one session for Android Chrome for with the version 12, and here we previously had for this node and Android, right? So it says one session for Android Chrome on version 12.1. So we updated this one, right? This is for the iOS with the Safari. Okay, these are the capabilities must with the emulator or device support. So we make sure that the capability it should match with the our emulator here. Okay, so this is the all about the how we configure the node 4 configuration. That is the configuration we are doing it here. Okay, which is in the format of .toml. Okay, now we will go to and configure this in our toml file. Okay, so already I have created a file here. So this is a sample node toml file. So I open this one. So I already configured the server port node and I use the detect drivers false and relay node. I have given the URL, okay, which is on the Appium server. Okay, this is URL for the Appium server, and this is a configuration I have done. Okay, we have two sessions here, and this is capabilities. Okay, here I am using Chrome, so I will just change to the Safari. That is for the iOS. The platform name I need to change. iOS. Okay, just save. Save. Okay, so our sample node.toml file is ready. Okay, with the server port and relay configuration, relay node configuration, and configurations we have. Okay, so this is the architecture, right? So this is the architecture we have created here. Okay, now we need to start the hub with the relay node. Okay, before that one, we need to start the Appium server. Okay, Appium server, then we start the hub with the relay node. Okay, now we will go to the command prompt. So what the command we need to use? Okay, already I make a note of here. So we had to use this command java-jar, and we had to use Selenium server, and this is a version. Okay, so we have downloaded the 4.33.0 jar standalone. Okay, standalone and double hyphen config and name of the file. Okay, so this is a node file we need to provide here. That is, we are using the toml file, which is in the format of toml. Okay, so this line we need to run. So open the command prompt and just say, so we have to go to the path. Okay, just a minute. Go to the path. Here we are downloaded, right? We are downloaded the grid here. So here, just copy, just click on this path. Just say command cmd. Just click on here and run this cmd. Okay, here, okay, I had used the command called java-jar. Okay, and okay, so I had to give the selenium server the version .jar, and here I had to use standalone and I had to use the argument config and the name of the config file, that is the sample node with extension toml source file, that is the toml. Okay, so sample node dot toml, that's it. So here we not has we are creating for using for this grid 3, we are running the hub separately and then we are configuring the node, right? Directly here we are using the standalone, which means the hub and node same time. Okay, so this is the way we need to start. Suppose you do not have this one. So just a minute, I just copy this one. Okay, suppose you have done this one. So what you will do? Open the command prompt. I show in different way also here. Just select, drag and drop this one. So here, sorry, open this one. Okay, say Java hyphen jar and just drag and drop this one. Just a minute. So this is a different way I'm showing to run it also. So that's it. Okay, path here given. Okay, and then we need to give the standalone double hyphen node config and name of the node file, that is sample node dot ml. So I'm pushing this node file and jar in our GitHub. You can get it from there. So click on run. Okay, there. So before that one, I want to check the node is running or not. Okay, this is the local host 44. This is the one. Okay, you can check it there. It is not running there. Okay, if you want, you can check it also. So before I want to run it and then I will show you there. So I run it. This one. Okay, Java hyphen jar. Okay, just a bit. Close this one. Go to the here. Okay, here I run once again. CMD Java hyphen jar. Okay, this is a file. Selenium hyphen server hyphen 4.3. Okay, so we are giving the wrong there. Jar file. So here and then standalone. Okay, standalone double hyphen config and the sample no dot toml. Okay, yes, we cross checked our command here. Okay, same standalone. Yes. Yeah. Now click on enter. See, our node is started. Okay, sorry, I forgot one thing. Okay, before that one, I want to close this one. Sorry, I forgot. Before that one, we need to start Appium server. See, as per this architecture, we need to start the Appium server. Okay, that's why the node is not created. Once again, I show it. It's good. But okay, once again, I'll show this one. Okay, see, we are starting the hub and the node without the Appium server. So this part is missing. Okay, we are starting the hub with the relay node. So what error we get? See, you see here. Okay, our it says connection refused, no further information because this particular local host 4723 is not there. Okay, this APM server is not there. That's why it says connection refused. Okay, now I'll close it. See, and you see this one, right? Now what I will do, I'll start the APM server. So we can start the APM server by using the command prompt. Just open command prompt APM, or we can start like this also. Hyphen A 0.0.0.0.0. This is the address localhost hyphen P, that is port 4723. Okay, we can start from the command prompt also, or if we have the APM server GUI. So I have the GUI also. I open the GUI also. So I open the APM server GUI. So this part we are talking about. Okay, we open command prompt also. You see here also host is 0.0.0.0 and port is 4723. Start the server. So our APM server is started. So we can start from the command prompt, or if we have this GUI, APM server GUI, you can start it also. So now we have the APM server. Now we can start the hub with the relay node. Okay. So go back here, this command prompt. So previously it says connection refused because we do not have the Appium server here. Okay. Now same command I runs once again. That is the Java -jar Selenium server the version jar standalone, and we are using the argument called config space sample node dot toml, which is in toml format. Just click on run. See, now it has added the nodes. It says added the nodes. This is the ID session ID of this one. Okay, you can observe the difference here. That's why I run the first one with the AP without Appium server. Then it's used this error message and this one. So before running this registration and node, we need to run the Appium server. Okay, because the communication will happen with the relay node with the Appium server and it sends to the hub. Okay, this is the architecture. That's why we need to start the Appium server first. So open this one. Okay, now our hub is started with the added node. Okay, now I want to see the browser, right? Just click on this one. So it says control, click on this link. If you mouse over here, it says control click. Click on this. See, now we have the grid and we have the relay node. This is relay node with a relay node, you can see. Okay, so our grid is done and relay node also done and Appium server also is there. And you can see the maximum concurrences we have two. Okay, here we have given our, see, here we are using, so you also will explain here. So you can see here browser Chrome. Okay, this is Chrome and platform Android and version also given 12. And here you can see one more session is the studio type. We have session is the browser name Safari, platform name iOS, Safari and iOS, and we have given the version here. So we have created the, okay, if you see here, go here, okay, if you see this one. So we have created the two sessions, okay, with this capabilities. That's why if you see this one, we have two sessions with this capability. Okay, if you want to increase, you can increase here. Okay, you can create max number of studio types here. So we have two here. Okay, it says conquest 2. Okay, and we have given the session here. So it is all configured in our toml file. Okay, this is how we can able to configure the Grid4 with our Appium. Okay, so in next part, we discuss about the part 2 Appium setup, Appium Grid4 setup with our emulator here. So we are going to use two emulators and we can set up the Appium Grid4 with this emulator. Means we need to add some more configuration details in our toml file. Okay, so this is all about the how to configure Selenium Grid4 with Appium. Okay, so we'll go for the part 2 here. Okay, thanks for watching.